monolithic thing that lives in the world and is, about to take over and
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fractional Executive Podcast. My name is Ryan Kauth, and I am your host. This podcast is for owners of small businesses of $500,000 to $10 million in annual revenue whose growth has plateaued. As this is an interactive podcast, and before I introduce our guest, I want to make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow. And that way we can have more great guests like the one I'm going to introduce in a minute. And that way we can grow our show. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest today. His name is Rolan Reichel. He's the founder and CEO of Arrow, an AI-powered social media management company that creates social media rock stars out of solopreneurs, micro e-commerce founders, and startup founders. He's an advisory board member of Food Forward Productions, which tells the stories of America's food heroes. And he advises several other companies and has extensive background in brand management, sales, and management. Rolan, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Ryan. Thanks for having me on.
So, Rolan, as your career in marketing and sales progressed, what did you learn about these areas that maybe you didn't learn about sales and marketing in school?
That's a great question. I think the only thing I took in school that I really remember was the typing class in the 7th grade. But, so, there wasn't a lot of sales and marketing, classes there. I think, the big trend I've seen over the last 10 to 15 years is that sales and marketing has really become a technology driven thing. And whether you're a solopreneur or a big company, you really cannot do sales and marketing without underlying platforms, technology that you're using, call it a marketing stack, call it a sales stack, either one, but you need to have these tools in place. And it's primarily become a digital exercise. I think we've learned that through COVID that to win in business, you have to have a successful digital approach to both sales and marketing. So that's the big thing that I've learned in the last, 10 years.
Yeah. And before the show, we were talking about some real detailed, specific things about marketing and blending your work life and when to post and what to post, as far as social media marketing, which you are an expert in. But now Arrow works with AI. And so do some of the companies that you advise. And so how did you use AI to accomplish those things?
Yeah, it's really interesting about AI. As someone who's worked with the technology directly and we have it integrated into our platform, and there's kind of there's the AI you read about in the headlines of the newspaper, and then there's the AI that we use every day in our technology, and they're really separate things. When I pick up the newspaper or read an article on my phone, just like everyone else, and it talks about AI, it brings forward Skynet out of Terminator, this monolithic thing that lives in the world and is, about to take over and tell everyone what to do. But the reality is that the mechanics of AI are incredibly powerful. So what we do is we've got it integrated into our tool Arrow, and what Arrow does is post on your business pages for you. So that's the core function. It'll manage your social media business pages, which is something that's time consuming and quite frankly a bit of a pain in the ass to do. So what the AI does is it will look at some images, it'll look at what you've posted before, and it'll generate some comments and ad copy in your style and in your tone of voice. And AI is really, really good at doing that function.
That's really interesting. And as you're talking about kind of the pain that social media management can be, that kind of bleeds into how you operate your company. And so what did you learn early on, Rolan, about like when to post, what to post, and really how that can actually help you as a founder? Because again, you're not just a founder, I like to say. You've got other stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a great point. So two comments on that. So in an early stage company, I think that the company brand and the founder brand are like completely intertwined. And sometimes the founder brand kind of is the company brand for a long time. And what you're trying to do as you grow the business is get to a point where like the business brand eclipses you as the founder brand, and you can kind of step back, and then the company brand goes forward and hopefully gets bigger and bigger, and everyone knows that. So that's one. And so in those early days, your brand is really important because you're kind of carrying the company forward. And then the second thing I'll say has to do with your personal brand, which is that, you're absolutely right. The things that you do that aren't your professional work are really important. So, I mean, it could be skydiving, it could be gardening, it could be kids. For me, it's tennis. But like bringing forward that into, your social media posting in a professional way is really important. And then actually I will make one more comment about social media posting in general. One of the big things I say to people is that everyone's got a comfort zone, and you should go about 20% past your comfort zone and then go like 10% more. And if you do that, I think it'll help you a lot.
That's a really good point. As you're growing professionally, and I'll ask you something about that coming up. Sure. Our audience members are always talking about those particular things. So again, this is an interactive show. And if you could drop comments below, Roland and I would love to interact with you in that way. And again, to get more great guests like Roland on here, please like, subscribe, and follow. And that way you can also grow your business as we grow the podcast. Roland, kind of going back to social media management, one of the other things we talked about before the show was about how you can help leverage social media from a local marketing standpoint. And I thought you had a couple interesting points about that, because it's probably not something we intuitively think about all the time.
Yeah. So local marketing is absolutely critical. And we were talking about that shift to digital, right? This kind of 10, 15 year arc of change that I think we're in the final stages of, where the biggest impact to that has been local marketing. And, I'll date myself a little bit. I remember as a kid, I was really into skateboarding, and we spent a lot of time skateboarding around the streets of our neighborhood, and you would see telephone poles, and on the telephone pole, there'd be a piece of paper that said like guy with a truck, and they would cut little snippets on the bottom, and you would, with phone numbers, right? You would rip that thing off the telephone pole and take it home and call the guy up, and he would show up with your truck and help you move your house. So that's no longer there. The phone book is not a thing anymore, which is probably good. And so what's happened is there just aren't a lot of options for local marketing. And so social media has become maybe the only option to reach your local community. So it's really, really important. And, I think what we see at our company, and I've talked to thousands of small business owners in the course of scaling up Arrow, is that for many, many of these businesses, Facebook, Instagram, even Google is like their local lifeline. I mean, it gets them a couple customers every single day into their business.
That's great. Thanks, Roland. As you were mentioning, kind of going back into your career and pulling forward here in this digital shift, along the way, you had to grow professionally, in your own leadership development. What do you think was kind of hard for you as a founder to learn, and what was kind of easy for you to learn? And then how did you improve on both of those things?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, first of all, everything about being a founder is hard. I'll just say that. It's a challenge in every way, and it's quite frankly not a great job. And it gets mythologized like, oh, startup CEO, startup founder, but quite frankly, a lot of the work is not fun and really difficult, and but can be incredibly rewarding. So I think that's why we do it. I think the hardest part for me has been learning to manage people and manage people effectively. And as a look, a startup is a small business in the beginning, right? Oftentimes you are 6 people and, each person's got 5 roles. So you really are a small business. And, but as you get to be bigger, you have to learn to give up certain tasks and really trust folks to get their job done. And so that's been the hardest part, is learning when to make that transition, when to hire, what to give up, what to keep on your own plate, and really how to work with the other folks in the organization to build a world-class organization.
And my guess is you kind of had to do that same thing. You had to push 20% past your comfort zone in that, and then another 10, right?
Absolutely. Especially when, you have been there from the beginning. You are, you wouldn't start the company if you weren't in love with what you were doing. So, and to give it up, you're exactly right. You got to push past that comfort zone and say, hey, you know what? This particular area of the company is, someone else is going to do a better job at that than I will. So I'm going to step back from that and let this expert and this very talented person do their thing there.
Roland, as one of your other roles, many roles, is as an investor. And one of the things we do talk about on the podcast here is financing your growth. What are some of the pieces of advice you give to business owners who are looking to grow their business?
Yeah, it's a great question and a really important one. And in many ways, I think there's avenues to raise money and grow your business that have exploded and they've never been there before, right? So let's say you're using Stripe. I mean, Stripe is offering small business loans. Even us as a company, we're a SaaS subscription company. We've even utilized that service. So there's just all these really cool and new companies coming on board into the ecosystem to help with, small financing, micro financing, revenue financing. And the counter, so the headline for me though is, don't fall in love with VC world. Just don't do it. Everyone's like VC, and it's amazing ecosystem. Well, it's been in the press a little bit the last couple of days because of Silicon Valley Bank. So, maybe perceptions are changing a little bit, but it's not the only way to raise money for your business. So if you're a startup, consider finding folks who want to partner with you, fund your business, raise money from your customers, raise money from strategic partners. I mean, really consider all these other ways of doing it, because while VC world is incredibly powerful and can be a great growth, trajectory, it also just doesn't work for many, many companies as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. Great insight in that there are so many more financing avenues today. But what's in the news is you drive by your local bank or credit union, you see somebody got millions of dollars of investment, and that's kind of where we typically want to go first, where there's all these other options out there too. Roland, I really enjoyed having you on the Fractional Executive Podcast today. I want to give you a little bit of time here to talk about some of the projects that you're working on and how can our audience members get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big fan of work-life balance. People say that all the time, but for me, what it means is tennis. Any chance I get, I like to get on the tennis court because it gives me an outlet for my competitiveness, which is both healthy and unhealthy. So it gives me a chance to have some fun. Right now, I'm working on my kick serve, so that seems to be a big focus of mine. So I'm also a big reader. I really encourage people to read, whether it be a book or you listen to a book on Audible. I'm a big fan of that as a way to take time away from what you're doing, get into something that's creative and interesting and kind of lose yourself for a couple of hours. So that's another really important way that I spend my time. In terms of the company, so the company I founded is called Arrow AI. You can check us out online at www.getarrow.ai. We've got a website with a ton of information about managing social media. We put out a blog post almost every day that's got a lot of really fun stuff. And I encourage everyone to go check out our blogs and try and figure out which blogs were written by a person and which blogs were written by artificial intelligence. And then send us a note and let us know what you think.
Ooh, that's fun. I like that. I'm gonna do that.
Great.
Thanks, Roland. Again, Rolan Reichel, founder and CEO of Arrow AI. Again, thanks so much for being on the podcast today.
Ryan, I really enjoyed it. We're really committed to this community of small business owners, and I really appreciate the time, opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, please like, subscribe, and follow so that you can grow your business as we grow the show, and we can have great guests on here like Roland. My name is Ryan Kauth. I'm the host of the Fractional Executive Podcast, and you can get a hold of me at ryankauth.coach. The Fractional Executive Podcast is produced by Influencer TV, the team of Adam Marino, Mark Livingston, and Chris Dries.
Hey everyone, my name is Rolan Reichel. I'm the CEO and founder of Arrow, which is an automated social media management tool powered by artificial intelligence. And before you think about Skynet and the Terminator, that's not the kind of AI we're talking about. This is the kind of AI that makes your life just a little bit better and a little bit easier by plugging directly into your social media accounts and posting and boosting content about you and your business on your channels every single day. So pop on over to our website, www.getarrow.ai, and check it out today. Thanks a lot.